Representative Tim Burchett is one of the lawmakers who will lead the oversight hearings into Grush's claims. Congressman, thanks so much for joining us. First of all, how believable do you find this whistleblower, David Grush?
I find him very believable, ma'am. He's a veteran. He served our country. Doesn't mean a lot in Washington, D.C., apparently, but in East Tennessee, it means a whole heck of a lot about people that served our country. He's decorated. I've known him for some while. We've been in contact for a good while. I've talked to so many other people, ma'am, that are risking their careers, literally, or their reputations. Pilots that have chased these craft that we've seen on video that have no heat signature, that defy our laws of physics. I don't know how much more we can have of this. I really think what we're seeing now is the military machine is realizing there's some dollars out there, and our Pentagon, which loses over $1 billion a year in audits and nobody asks any question, is going to start asking us for more money to study the issue, when in fact, if they just release some of the files that they released to us that are so heavily redacted that they look like a piece of Swiss cheese, I just think we could get to the bottom of this a lot faster.
The House Oversight Chairman Comer has said he would ask you to lead the hearing on this. Any word on what that might happen, when that might happen?
Well, we're just trying to get confirmed folks here, know that they can come in and testify. That's really the only holdup, ma'am. I'm not. Chairman Comer is very kind to me, and the Speaker McCarthy has also agreed that we could have this hearing, and I'm honored that they'd put me in charge of it. But that's really the only holdup right now, is making sure we get everybody and we get their dates there. I get tired of these. We're over COVID. I'm tired of all these Zoom meetings. I want bodies in chairs.
I'm assuming you're going to have David Grush there to testify, right?
We're going to try. We are going to try. I think what he has to be really careful of is crossing over that line of speaking about something that maybe is classified or not, or taking out of context. And so we're going to work with him and his folks, and hopefully get him here as well. I think he would be a real star.
And will you call on somebody from the Pentagon or the Department of Defense to come in? Because obviously what he's claiming is that there is a ultra top secret program, more top secret than the Arrow program that he was himself assigned to, that exists, that is keeping this information hidden from Congress and the American public.
I think at some time we will, ma'am, but the group that they put in charge of this, if you saw the Intelligence Committee that was open to the public, ma'am, they couldn't even spell UFO. They didn't have a clue about what's going on, and honestly, we really got hosed on that meeting, because they built it up as they always do, and it was absolutely nothing. They could not slow down a 22-second videotape. My little daughter, who will be 16 on Wednesday, she could have stopped that tape, and they couldn't even stop the tape to show allegedly what something was that was filmed with a cell phone inside of a canopy of an airplane. They just pulled something out. And if you look at the Tic Tac videos that are out, 60 Minutes did a big expose on it, and there's been multiple talk shows about it, and it has the actual Navy pilots. We had a Navy pilot that was in the audience but was not allowed to come in because they had to give him press credentials. That's the kind of garbage we're putting up with, ma'am. You know, these congressmen, we're just spoon-fed this little stuff, and as long as we get our big PAC checks, we're happy. And the American public's ticked off, and I'm ticked off. Let's get to the bottom of it. Let's start bringing some real people in there, and quit with all the people that are covering it up, asking them to fix the problem. Because, you know, dadgummit, they're not going to. All they're looking for is another check.
Representative Tim Burchett, thank you so much. Look forward to those hearings, and look forward to hearing back from you again on when those are actually happening.
Ross Coulthart is back with me. He did the interview for News Nation, and I want to bring in some more voices also to add to this conversation. We want to get all sides in. Mick West is a key voice in these discussions. He does not believe Dave's story. He doesn't think that it adds up. I also have with me Michael Shellenberger, who believes that this has been a long time coming, and Michael does believe David Grush's story. But Mick, I want to start with you. You've seen the interview. Are you essentially calling David Grush a liar?
No, I think he seems to actually believe what he's saying. But the clip you just played there, the complaint and the IG adding credibility to his story, isn't actually true. His lawyer who just basically parted ways with him a couple of days ago, issued a statement, which is quite unusual, saying that they had been misrepresented and that the whistleblower complaint was actually very narrowly scoped and did not speak to the specifics of the alleged classified information that Mr. Grush is now publicly characterizing. So the idea that it adds credibility to the actual claims he is making isn't true. It's simply credible that he's making some allegation that there was something that was covered up, not what that thing actually was.
Let me bring Ross in because there is some, there's an interesting development. I read the statement too, Ross. I didn't quite read it like that. I took the statement from his lawyer and the former Inspector General to be, look, we did what we were out to do here to get him this far, and we've finished. I mean, what's going on with the lawyer?
Okay, let me just make it very clear here. Mick's unfortunately misconceived what the lawyers were actually talking about. Great respect. The simple fact is the representations that were made by the Inspector General, not by the lawyers, are the ones that are relevant. And the Inspector General of Intelligence Security, and I've confirmed this with Mr. Grush, the Inspector General of Intelligence and Security took evidence under oath not only from Mr. Grush, but also from people inside the legacy UAP program. Witnesses have given evidence in support of David Grush's allegations to the Inspector General, and it wasn't just about the reprisal allegations. Unfortunately, you're going to hear in coming days, I can't talk about it at this stage, but you're going to hear in coming days that Chuck McCullough is still acting for David Grush. He hasn't dissociated himself from his client at all. And in fact, you will see something I'm not allowed to explain, but basically it'll come out in due course that Mr. McCullough is still acting for his client.
Okay, we'll keep an eye on that because that'll be an interesting. I just want to get Mick back in. We'll be looking for that because there's been some uncertainty with the lawyer situation. But Mick, I just want to ask you, because you're a skeptic, the thing that I keep going back to is David Grush has these incredible credentials. High-level intelligence officer, spent years keeping these secrets, has now gone under oath, essentially, and could go to jail for lying about some of this stuff. I mean, what would his reason for lying be?
I don't necessarily think that he's lying. All the stuff that he says has been cleared by DOPSA, the Defense Office of Pre-Publication and Security Review. That doesn't mean that it's actually true. It doesn't mean that he's lying, but it also doesn't mean that it's accurate. The things that have been cleared for release are
I don't get it. I'm sorry. I don't understand.
Yeah.
What do you mean if he's not? If you don't believe his story, but then wouldn't he be lying? Explain to me what you mean.
No, he will be mistaken. If someone has told him stuff and he believes that what they have told him, he is not lying. He's just mistaken. And the claims that he's made are quite extraordinary, and they're things that would be secret. The idea that we have aliens are killing Americans, the thing that we've discovered these craft, and the actual details of the analysis that we've performed on this isotopic analysis and things like that. If that was actually an adversary craft, we wouldn't want them to know what type of analysis we performed on them. So he's revealing things that would be secret. They've been cleared by the Department of Defense, which means they're not actually secret, which probably means that they're not actually true.
Interesting. Okay, I follow what you're saying now. Michael, I want to bring you in. You've said publicly just this week that you have heard from sources who also back up what Grush has said. Can you elaborate on that?
Yeah, that's right. And I just want to clarify that I have not said that I believe David Grush. What I've said is that I've spoken to multiple other people with high levels of security clearance who confirm the basic claim that Grush is making, which is that the U.S. government is in possession of over 12 non-human craft. I'm actually not making statements about my own beliefs. I'm reporting what I was told by people with a lot of credibility that are in a position to know and that are very sane and so respected that they have achieved high levels of security clearance.
I want to bring in two people who say they've actually seen UAP, essentially UFOs firsthand. We've all seen it in the video too. The Pentagon shared it publicly. Sean Cahill is a former Navy chief who saw the so-called Tic Tac in 2004, and Alex Dietrich is a retired Navy lieutenant commander who also saw the Tic Tac. That video is unbelievable. It's really an honor to have both of you with us tonight. First of all, I want to ask you, Alex, first, what did you make of David Grush's story. I know you've seen the interview. Do you find it believable?
There's a lot to unpack there. I'm not familiar with the sources that he's referring to. I'm certainly not familiar with the hard evidence, the data, or any physical evidence that he referred to there. But what I do know is that I saw something strange in 2004, November 14, 2004. It's been referred to as the Nimitz encounter or the Tic Tac incident. And when we reported it at the time, and in years since, even today, it's my understanding that aircrew operators, folks who see something, don't have a good protocol. They don't have a good process to report it. So you ride the subway and you see a billboard that says, if you see something, say something. There's an easy way to report a suspicious package. But if you're seeing something in the sky that doesn't make sense, looks out of place, especially around a military exercise or near a civilian city center, especially with the events of 9/11 still so fresh in our hearts and our minds, we need to have a protocol in place. We need to have folks who are dedicated in a system to report these and analyze these unidentified phenomenon.
Yeah, and that seems to be the bigger issue here, regardless of whether you're a skeptic or a believer. The problem here seems to be that we don't have a system, a good, real, honest system where people can come forward who are in the military and actually report things and not to be made to look crazy and that kind of thing. Sean, I have to ask you, when you first saw the Tic Tac, along with a number of other people in the area and who were on the ship, I mean, did people take you seriously? Did you feel like you were being made fun of, or did you feel like the military was open to hearing what you guys actually saw?
During the week of that exercise, we took it very seriously. There was no real ridicule on board until after the fact, when we were all trying to figure out what had happened. That was when we were making jokes and making light of the situation. But during the situation, we took it very seriously because there was an unknown aircraft in the vicinity of our battle group. I have to say that I cannot say with assurance that what I saw was the same thing that Commander Fravor or Commander Dietrich saw. I saw 5 to 7 lights in the sky move in a pattern that I'd never seen before throughout that point, decade of my career, and now 20 years worth, that seems commensurate with UAP. But I can say that this is something I followed for the last 5 years since the 2017 article came out, and I've worked diligently at it, usually 24/7, as we say. This is a very present phenomenon now. It is not just that strange thing that I saw in the sky one time.
I think the difference here, though, Ross, is when Sean and Alex talk about what they saw, we've got the video to back it up. And we've now got accounts from a number of people in the military who saw the very same thing. So it's easy to accept that. It's hard to go from seeing this video and saying, okay, this is not explainable and clearly is something strange going on, to we have these crafts in our possession, we have bodies, there is a secret Cold War. I just think it's hard to make that leap for Americans when there's no hard evidence, when we can't see video or pictures.
I completely agree with you. And I think that's why Mr. Grush is saying that people need to get Congress to hold the hearings where this evidence can be brought to light. He's not expecting people to believe him straight off, frankly. He's hoping that people will be skeptical. But what he's hoping, and what I think a lot of people are hoping, is that Congress will suddenly find the courage to start demanding answers, because I know evidence has been presented to Senate committees particularly, and I know that there's been meetings in the Congress attended by senators where information has been discussed relating to the crash retrieval program. And I also, by the way, have information that suggests the National Security Advisor, Jake Sullivan, attended at least one of these meetings. So I think the president probably, or at least his most senior advisor, does know. And we're in a situation now where it's incumbent on the Congress and the president to be open about the fact that it doesn't appear to be forthcoming with that evidence.
Thank you for watching.